Welcome to Bear Lifestyle, the podcast where we speak up and speak out about all taboo topics and make them normal and acceptable.
You are invited to be curious, to try something new, and stay open to provocative perspectives.
I'm Simona Spark, a best-selling author, international speaker, transformational coach, and so many other things. Beyond anything else, I'm a woman who stopped following other people's rules and started creating my own.
I'm Carolyn Marcos, a life coach on a mission to break the labels and expectations that others place on us. I am a woman who used to hate her own body until I dared to become the sexy goddess I am today.
In this space, we are going to get naked by stripping away insecurities, self-judgments, and all kinds of limitations, and reach in for the essence of who we really are Bear.
Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving. Let's begin.
Right?
Hey girlfriend, I'm celebrating you.
I'm celebrating you and
Hi.
everyone else.
Yes, everyone that is here with us, thank you all for coming and for joining. Let me have a sip. Whew. It's been a morning.
It has.
For those of you that are here and seeing the videos, I promise that my makeup was so much better 2 hours ago.
It looks beautiful now.
Thank you. But I end up into a coaching space and I end up into crying my mascara off and now we are here. What have you been doing for the past couple hours, Miss Carolyn?
I had a boudoir shoot this morning.
Oh,
So
damn. Some of us crying, some of us are just having fun. I see how that goes.
yeah, I just stepped into like my whole sexual being this morning just to be there for that shoot. So yeah.
So good, so good. So that's so good because we decided today to jump into the big concept of a bear. Like, let's get naked, shall we?
Yes.
And we want to address like the different levels and the different spaces where we get naked. It's not just taking off our clothes, which is
No.
so important and is so huge. But let's see how many spaces and how many circumstances we could find out in this episode. And yes, for the listeners, you are always invited to tell us more and to tell us your perspective and to see how many spaces we find where we feel naked, we feel seen, we are we let the guard down, whatever the guard is in that particular space. Do you want to
Yes.
start us off?
Yeah, we can start off with emotional space of how we bear ourselves emotionally, you
Mm,
know, especially, well, we can talk to this from your perspective of going through your session this morning and really releasing some things. And we can also talk about how sometimes we don't want to show those emotions because they leave us feeling shame and guilt and all kinds of other things. But when we do this, we have the ability to really like show up for ourselves, to take care of ourselves on an emotional level. And that really is another aspect of us really getting bare, really getting comfortable with who we are. So, do you want
Yes.
to share a little bit about this morning, about releasing and
Yes. What I'm hearing from there is we get into a space when, like, what's emotional nakedness for me is showing our tears. And I say tears because it's not necessarily the tears they are coming with pain, but also the tears they are coming with joy. And just to
mm-hmm,
look back and acknowledge how many times throughout our life we are not allowed to cry. And here, like, talking about the genders and looking at the differences between men and women, like, boys were not allowed to cry.
no,
and
yes,
and we been thought, and we end up believing the tears are a expression of weakness. I'm so grateful to see where the world is going, and just for the past decade or so, more and more people are talking about the power of being vulnerable, right?
yes,
And in a coaching world, at least in my practice, as you know, I got into a space where, of course, as a client first, to really be intentional about those tears, and ask myself, what is it that I'm releasing in these tears? They're rolling down my cheek, right? Because
right.
it's always a release of trauma, a release of pain. We have a breakthrough, we have an understanding that finally sinking into our body in order to, it's like, I see it like, okay, I see it like a cup of water, if you wish. And when you drop something in it, something spill out if
Mm-hmm,
it's overflowing. So it's always creating space for the new. So if something finally sink, acknowledge an insight, aha, it's something is released. So mainly it's coming to tears, right? So yes, I end up in a to be coached this morning around, a lot of things are happening, and I realize the pressure the pressure that we are under as women, as entrepreneurs, in this space where is so much visibility through internet, and is the pressure of always appear like having your shit together. And I don't have my shit together all the time.
me either.
I tend to believe that nobody has their shit together all the time, and I caught myself in a way that I handle some situations lately that was like so poorly handled, and was not
Mm-hmm,
about that I handle it poorly, because I know how to apologize, and I know how to clarify things, and take the responsibility. But afterwards, I judge myself because I am this powerful woman, I am this independent woman. I went through several different hells. I went through fire. I come on the other side of things, and why in the fucking world I'm still behaving like a scared little girl?
mm,
So,
so good.
and just realizing that as we go to different levels, like the way that we experience the insight, the knowledge, the healing, the releasing, it's always the same. It
Mm-hmm,
always feels the same. The body doesn't know if it's this year, if it's next year. If you're so connected with the memory from 30 years ago, and you
mm-hmm,
feel all the emotions, your body doesn't know that that's from 30 years ago. Your body's going to have a reaction as is right now.
exactly.
So more of that went into it, but this that I share, I really share with the intention of, I like to make a teaching moment out of everything, and some people are annoyed at that, but that's who I am. And just to say, hey, if you someone who thinks that, you got to the point in your life when you know who you are and you know what you want, and all that is great and it's true, and yet you still get to lose your shit every now and then.
Absolutely.
So I got naked emotional this morning. I allowed myself to be a hot mess. I allow myself to show my tears, to have all the judgments that I thought that I will never have about myself, and here I am. And then to show up to this call without remaking my makeup. It's still good though.
It's still beautiful though. You can't mess with what's perfect already, so
There you go, there you go, there you go. Yes, yes. So thank you for
yeah.
asking and giving me this space to share a little bit. And it's such a perfect timing as we talk about the physical nakedness. And I know you have a photo shoot, and I don't even know if it was nude or not, but do you want to take us into that? Like, what's the process of getting naked in front of a camera and allowed
Mhm.
another person to see all the beautiful imperfections?
Exactly. And that's really the place where it comes from, is like being able to see the beautiful imperfections, because um it wasn't fully naked. It was a bra and panties. So, there was covering there, but still, it's for me, it's vulnerability. It was being vulnerable with my physical body, sharing it, with somebody who's going to take my photos, um, to to allow myself to go into the poses that they're asking me to go into without judging myself. And I find myself trying to like turn away, that maybe it'll hide this a little bit more, or be a little taller so that
Mm,
it pulls things up, or point a leg a little bit harder than it needs to be pointed. And finally, I was told, when you do that, it makes it very hard to just get a natural picture. So just let me take the pictures, and you just be present for that.
mm,
And so I had to release a lot of things. And then when I saw some of the photos afterwards, I was like, I don't like that because this is showing. And mostly it's my stomach, because let's face it, I'm 55 years old. I've gone through menopause. It's all of these things that I judged about myself. And I finally just went, let's stop that. Let's just be present in this moment. And if my getting vulnerable with myself and allowing and being totally present, and then seeing every bit of it together as just beautiful, because there were some really incredible shots in there. Um, that gives me the opportunity to look at it from the perspective of, this is what other people see. This
mm.
is how I should see myself. I want to see every part of me as beautiful and accept every part of me. And so this is just another step in that journey of getting really vulnerable with myself and accepting every part of my body. So yeah, it's hard. You have to get into the right headspace for things. You have to let go of what's going on the backside, and just be present. And when you do that, something kind of magical happens. Because then you kind of naturally go into like our next space, which is showing your desire, because I was asked to look at the camera and think about the person that I most desire, and invite that person in, so doing that it puts you into that,
They
like,
call it have sex with a camera. That's how they call it.
right, exactly, exactly.
Seduce the camera.
Right,
Yes.
right. So yeah, you really get to pull in all parts of you, and you can have the emotional, you can have the physical, and you can have like what's going on inside of your head. And that's the part that I like to try to quiet down the most when I'm doing behind the camera.
So powerful, so powerful. I never been comfortable to have my picture taken
Me
for
either.
that reason, right? Judging people that they gonna judge me.
Yep.
And how powerful it is to get into a space where you just stop hiding. I mean, God, the fashion industry is just created so many options for us, especially women, to hide in clothes and to make believe how we look like. That is not
Right?
how we look like, right? And but that power of showing your body and how
Mhm.
inspired, because I cannot wait for you to publish those pictures, which is going to be a new level of being visible and being naked for people
Yeah.
to see you, to to actually get in a space when you show your body. And that's what the power is, because we are just so freaking tired of seeing the models and how we're supposed to look like, and we just craving to see more of us on the internet, right? Like I
Yep.
want to see somebody that kind of look like me. So even if it's for the reason so I won't feel so bad about myself, it doesn't fucking matter what the reason is. It's just like I want to see that I'm okay. I want to
Right?
it's to somebody to mirror to me that is nothing wrong with me, and that's how a body could look like. It doesn't have to look
Exactly.
anything else different than it is.
And I love that part of it because what we're busting out of that image of our body, we're busting out of bearing ourselves, getting naked with ourselves, and to just show everybody who we really are. It's like sometimes I walk past a mirror and I'm like, oh, is that what I look like? Now I walk past a mirror and I go, that's what I look like.
Oh,
You know,
hey.
right? And there's a complete difference in that. So even just looking in the mirror at yourself or just taking a picture of yourself and posting that someplace, it's like, this is me, this is all of me, this, no filters, no nothing, it's just me.
Yes.
And I love that idea of giving other women, other humans, the power to be able to do that for themselves. You don't need to lose weight to do a photo shoot. You don't need to wait until your trauma is healed to show your emotions. You don't need to wait for anybody to give you permission. You just need to give it to yourself.
Yes, that's where the true freedom lies, right?
Yes.
So we look at emotional nakedness, like how to get naked emotionally, showing your fear, how to get naked physically, showing your body. You touch on how to get naked, adventurous. I think that's what I put in
Yes.
my notes, but I don't know if that's the right one.
To
Like
show your desire.
show your desire, like, and we touched a little
Yeah.
bit on a previous episode on that, like how to actually say out loud what is it that you desire and what is it that you want, and ask and get into a space where you ask for what you want, right? And another one that popped in my mind that I experienced last year is getting naked publicly, in a sense of like when I published my story, when I
Yeah.
published my book, was a level of visibility that I never experienced before, and in and I never been prepared for, right? I never been prepared for
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Now the whole world has access to my story, and I will go into details into that into another episode when we look into where we come from and how we evolve and how everything that went through. It's so beautiful to bring us where we are. But what I want to share today is like with this podcast alone, when I decided to also have it published on YouTube, and we decided to be here in Zoom and actually people to see us. I was not prepared that I'm gonna feel that again as I felt with my story. Like people, it's gonna see me, because if it's audio only, it's like we could stay here. We talk about everything that's coming up. There is no scripts. We just have a conversation. But I'm still having that buffer. Like I could still hide a little. And it's exactly what I did with my first podcast. Like I could do it. And even though I was like not the best host, but I was so nervous and all the things that went into that, but I was still in hiding because nobody get to see my face or the faces that I'm making or my how I gesticulate or so on and so on. And now when I decided I was gonna go on Facebook and like, okay, so we rated with R and it's explicit and bad words are coming through and everybody has access and it's a public space and everybody get to see it. I was like, oh shit. So naked, naked again into
Naked,
a public space. There is no
right?
privacy on internet, isn't it?
No, and it's so true because I have that same fear, pushing myself just a little bit further to be seen, to be heard, to be, people know who I am, see my face and recognize me. And so, trying to get out there and be comfortable with that and not hide it anymore. It's really a different space to be in.
Yes.
It's completely a different space to be in. It's like taking the whole, I'm not hiding anymore and just opening the door up as wide as I possibly can and not go back behind it.
Yes, and it really speaks to me, at least, the same way where I was sharing about just being an entrepreneur or having people look up to you as a leader, and you have to have everything together. This is exactly
Mhm.
that. Like, you get to empower other people, you get to be a leader for other people, and also you get to be imperfect. You get to, like, not you, I get to mispronounce things, I get to say things wrong, I get to be here live and say, is that how you say it, because I'm not sure. So and then it's always people is gonna just split in two groups, really. People that is like, oh, I needed to see and I have the permission to be myself, because she's not perfect. She could be fabulous and great and successful, but she's not perfect. And it's gonna be the other group that is like, who she thinks she is, and da 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 da. And that's what's happening when we judge ourselves. We are in that group. I was in
Yes.
that group this morning. By now, with all the work that you've been doing and all the things that you achieve, you should have your shit together, and yet you don't. Right? I've been
Right.
in that group with judging that that person is not perfect. And
Yeah.
that's what being in the right space with the right coach, mentor, friend, whatever you have, to say, okay, what you feel is true, your feelings are valid, and how powerful is that you show up anyway and give other people permission to show up as they are.
Right. I That is so important to me because for so long I hid out. I I couldn't even hit the button to go live on Facebook for the longest
Mhm.
time. To even post something on Facebook, to post it anywhere on social media was really a challenge for me up until I really started to step in, do that really deep inner work and get completely naked, vulnerable, showing every part of me and not judging it before it went out there, not justifying it, not shaming it, not blaming it, just full acceptance,
Yes.
you know, and let other people make their own decisions as to how they want to receive it, but let that fall away from me. And that I think is the hardest part, especially for somebody who's been a people pleaser for so long, to let all the rest of that just fall away. But it's happening, we get into this space and I don't think it's because we get comfortable. I think it's just because we get more confident.
Hmm.
We are more comfortable bearing all of it. And so then we want to show other people that it's okay to do that. So that's
Yeah.
what I think starts to happen.
Yes. Yes. Well, what's coming up for me is just such a deep gratitude for women that walk before us, that
Mhm.
inspire us to do the work, to become our version of them, where here we are, like pushing the live button, the record button, and just be without a script, without reading word by word, right? And
Mhm.
I just want to drag attention to that because it's very easy to get caught up into our own thing, which is absolutely okay. But then we forget that a big contribution of bringing us where we are is other people walking that path before us.
Yes.
We want to say thank you to them, and we also want to say thank you for those of us that those of you that listen or watch us that might be inspired to get naked, quote unquote, in whatever area in your life. Just let that guard down, just a little bit. You don't have to let it down all the way. Just a little bit, just little by little, just calibrate and take your time, follow your own speed, but with the promise, and I'm speaking for both of us here, Caroline and I, with the
Hmm.
promise that as we reveal and we just shade layer by layer and we get closer to who we are is when we actually unpack that unique power.
Yes. Piece by piece.
It feels like a good note to close on.
It does feel like an excellent note to close on. Yes.
So let's wrap up here, and I want to invite you guys to email us. What are the spaces that you find in your life or in your business or in your community where we could be invited to get naked. We talk about the emotional space to just show our tears. We talk about the physical space to show our body. We talk about going publicly, like showing our story, our mission,
Yes.
our everything, and of course, just showing our desires in a more intimate space. So if you know more spaces, and I'm just curious how many others we'll find as we go, because I'm pretty sure that we will. So let us know what inspired you from this episode, what triggers you, and what interests you, and what would you like to know more of. Carolyn, would
Absolutely.
you close us, please?
Just so much gratitude, and we really look forward to hearing from you and seeing you as you start to show up more and more and getting bare and getting comfortable with it. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes, celebrate everyone.
Cheers.
We will love to hear from you. What inspired you? What triggered you? And what interests you?
Do you have questions? Perfect. Get your answers in our Q&A sessions in the Bear Experience Facebook group.
There are many ways for you to join the conversation. You could leave your comments or you could email us.
We can't wait to have you back. Till then, be Bear.
Beautiful, authentic, real, and ever evolving.